Hello, and today we'll be playing the newest update of Devil's Gambit. So, this is the finale for the second arc of the story. So, some big things are going to happen in this update. So, very eager to see what's going to happen. So, we're going to go ahead and start. Somewhere in Wanai's forest, a heretic monument stands tall, proof of the foolishness of men. How long did it take the ancient wolves that escaped the valley to weave tales, set traps, and deceive would-be conquerors and lead them to their death? Imagine how many traditions they came up with that would stand the test of time and oblivion. Festivals, rituals, and inconspicuous rituals that, even after having their purpose eroded from the child's memory, still fulfill their task. How ingenious and risky was the web constructed by the ancient wolves of Wanai. Imagine all that, just for a duke from some foreign kingdom to walk into town and decide he could spit on our taboos, and build himself a castle close to the valley, but not too close because that's the most a coward's heart can muster. And yet, even this nature reclaims. Since last year, that tunnel had been our safe passage into the mansion. We do not need to worry about the guards watching over the entrance or making rounds into the lower floor and making sure every last window is closed. We simply appeared from behind the portrait. Then Ryan would sneak into Manuel's room and torment him. The mansion's doors lacked the sigils that allowed us to so easily access any of Wanai, but procuring a master key from an unsuspecting servant solved that issue, and the secret passage made a great hiding spot for it. When our soldier began going to Manuel's door, we simply switched to sneaking into one of the many unused neighboring rooms to torment him in his dreams instead. As Ryan once again emerges from behind the portrait, he instinctively glances towards the Duke's bedroom. However, that isn't our objective tonight. Ryan walks up to the staircase, and after a brief exchange to convince him not to slide down the handrail, makes his way to the ground floor and takes a turn towards the east wing. His demeanor quickly changes then. He smiles, at first as he no doubt recalls our first few encounters with Hector. But soon he adopts a more somber expression. The memories from that time are a blur to me, so I can't tell what's going through his mind. I sense the panic, fear, and confusion bubbling up, but none of them overflow to me. Let's go on. He doesn't respond, simply trudging along until we reach the laboratory's door. The so-called research wing is much larger than it was back in Leopoldino's day, but it doesn't matter. Silver will probably turn this place upside down very soon, so any room should do. But one keeps going until we reach the room Leopoldino had originally used as his laboratory. Ryan stops in front of the door and reaches for the bundle hanging from his belt. In it an Earth Helper, the one we stole when this whole mess started. Leopoldino claimed to have invented these trinkets, but the truth is that they come from the valley's depths. On top of protecting the crops, or rather a part of that process, they use the ice essence as a catalyst and purified it to nature's essence. So to make it work with normal magic, Leopoldino meddled with the design and now they take magic and spread the eye's corruption instead. It's not good, but we managed to take advantage of it by modifying this particular earth helper to produce enough corruption to make patches of haze leaf sprout in a matter of minutes. So far, Wine has been using it to block off parts of the valley during the expeditions, but now it will serve a different purpose. Silver should understand the true nature of the earth helpers by now. Tomorrow he will investigate the mansion, eventually arriving at this laboratory and find this. And then he'll understand whether there's a demon in Ranzkai or not doesn't matter, because the one pushing it into the valley is, and has always been, the Duke, the conquerors, and the kings. We suffered the consequences of making contact with the eye so long ago. Why must we struggle so much just to prevent others from willingly walking into the same fate? What truth do they seek that is worth all this? Silver has also been fighting this war. He, with one foot on nature's soil and the other under his dark god's realm, should be able to tell who is the actual culprit disturbing the eye's sleep. This is a wordless pact, or perhaps a deal between us. He may believe Manuel has been using a modified earth helper to intentionally produce Hazley to research it, but most likely he'll realize Manuel is being framed. But even if he does, he should see that this represents his chance to put a stop to the real threat, as long as he goes along with the deception, as long as he turns it into a new truth. He can stop Manuel. Wine sighs and opens the door to the laboratory. The moment the air inside reaches us through the gap in the door, he stops. A macabre mix of chemical smells, waste, and death hits us all at once. Before I can process what's happening, Wine throws the door open and rushes inside. On a table in the center of the room, we barely make the silhouette of somebody lying on it. Wine's gaze is fixated on a figure as thousands of thoughts run through his mind. Then the clouds outside part and let moonlight come through the window. It's not much, but it's just enough for us to make out all the details. The missing limbs, the abdomen, slices open, the eyes rolled almost all the way back, and the mouth agape as if screaming silently. And that is, I see. Come to think of it, wasn't he suspiciously absent from the games? Right, so here you were, Alistar. Why? Why are you here? Why? Whatever the reason, whatever he did, the Duke didn't let him die easily. And now, even in death, he's his subject. Those flasks near him, right, those must be his organs in them. But what makes my gaze go red is when the clouds reveal to us the contents of the cells to our sides, organs, eyes, legs, arms. All of them, most certainly from wolves. Most of them must have come from corpses he pillaged from the cemetery, surely. But didn't a bunch of the older wolves, especially those who quickly fell behind on their taxes once they got injured in the expeditions, just happen to get into accidents that require amputating this or that part? I remember rumors about that, right. We were so busy planning how we deal with the expeditions we didn't stop to think about it, let alone confirm it, but we did hear it. Wine trembles, and it's like I'm falling from a waterfall. My ears ring as the tremor overwhelms them, and I can't get a hold of them. And it's not for a lack of trying, as much as I kick, bite, and claw at my surroundings, lost in my rage, nothing stops my fall. It's happening again. It's the same as that night. But it's not just Wine this time. I swear, the moment I get hold of our body, I'll run upstairs, tear down the door, and wrangle Manuel's neck. I'll split him open and bathe on his guts as he draws his last breath. Wine's mind, meanwhile, frays at the edges as a different element attacks it, sorrow. He looks at Alistar's vacant eyes, turned up and so very still in a way so contradictory to life and to all the times we've seen him before. That asshole, that stubborn fucking bastard, why? And in Wine's mind, I see it. Us as children again, the times we played and pranked him, both before and after we came to be. He's gone now, too, isn't he? Another one sent off to the unknown. At least the one that came before won't be so lonely now, won't he, Kakat? Alistar, at least, died only once. What will it be? What will it be like for us? I feel the invisibility spell break. It begins as his mind retreats, overwhelmed by everything he feels and by everything he sees and feels, and shadows when we catch a shadow out the corner of our eye. Finally, I pull myself out of the vortex of rage and try to understand what it is we're looking at. It begins as his mind. Finally, I put myself out of the vortex of rage and try to understand what it is we're looking at. It's not a shadow, but a silhouette. Then we notice another and another. At some point, the towering figures of wolves have surrounded us. His hooves drag on the floor as he steps back. A pandemonium of emotions rises to the surface. Confusion, realization, terror. I see. It's 13 of them. They are all still here, still alive, if this can be called life. This could have been our fate if we weren't so lucky. Aren't we lucky, Wine? Aren't we? One of the silhouettes shambles towards us, raising a translucent hand. Its fingers slowly approach our forehead. And then Wine throws himself at it, is clawing. Then Wine throws himself at it, clawing at it. The fragile shadows disperse us, and in a mad dance he takes swing after swing at the others, breaking their forms, making them disappear like they were never here to begin with. At the end of it, Wine is left heaving, his gaze and arms pointing downward. Once the fear recedes enough for his consciousness to return, he looks at his hand, examining the dust stuck to our fur. But he can't push himself to speak. Words have escaped from his mind. Pollen. That's what it looks like, what it smells like. But it's likely not what it is. If those really were the other subjects, then that must be what happens to those who reach the highest level of exposure to the eye. The highest level in a location otherwise cut off from its influence, at least. That is their fate, then, for the remnants to be stuck in the moments leading to their deaths, or could they still be alive, reliving those moments forever? Wine, are you okay? He's not. It's 2 months. He can't take it. We don't have time to grieve here. By God, we will leave our brother here unmourned, without even a prayer, along with remnants of the elders the remains of the elders we knew. All our ghosts of our past linger in torment. Was that really them? I don't know. Part of me wishes this to be a valley creature. But why would it imitate the other subjects? Why would it be localized within this part of the mansion? The truth is naked to the eye. And such deceit would be too fathomable, too human for a dark god. Do you think Mom and Dad also? No, they must have died before Leopoldino got his hands on that essence. Right, Kagan? Right? It would make the most sense. But what I say does not stick. The idea bounces off and does not enter his side of our mind. Wine holds our left hand in front of his eyes before extending it towards the window. Moonlight sneaks between our fingers as he rotates it, examining it from multiple angles. Then ever so slowly, as I did once in front of Hector, he tries touching the tip of our fingers with our thumb. His movements are clumsy and shaky, much more than mine. Wine, we shouldn't stay here any longer. But he doesn't hear me. And despite the quiet around us, I said a tornado brewing inside of us. Mom and Dad, this happened to them too. They are still in pain. Their suffering will never end. He can't take it. It's too much. I could take us back to town, but I can't even approach him in this turmoil, let alone pull him down. Ryan! His ear swivels. There's just a glimmer of awareness left. Give it to me. That pain, all those thoughts. I'll hold on to it and chew through it for the both of us. When we're safe, I'll share what remains of it with you, and we'll carry it together. His jaw remains tense. I feel his gaze shifting inside of our mind. He's looking at my thoughts, trying to and failing to make sense of them. He sees them and me as a swarm of things he cannot comprehend, a massive school of fish rearranging itself in impossible shapes, a vast and inscrutable thing like the sea in Silver's dream. And I see him as a chaos of ill-defined and ever-shifting emotions, a tornado of impulses crashing against itself and the world, sunlight, air, and fire. And between us, there is a membrane, thinner than an egg cell, no thicker than the amniotic sac of our newborn. It's a streak of wet sand between continent and ocean, a layer that keeps us apart through which we communicate. It was always there, Ryan and I, from the moment we came to be, intuitively knew it existed between us. We pushed things through it for so long, but never paid attention to the thing itself. And all at once, it comes together. I find the words, the emotions. I see it through Ryan's eyes. Trust your other self, the brother who loves you. Let me carry your pain. He relaxes his hand and lets it go. All the grief and sorrow rush out of him and past the membrane. The ocean around me goes dark, but before all light goes out, I still catch a glimpse or two. Ryan picking up the earth helper and throwing it into the back of a drawer. At last looking at Alistair's body, a prayer, the invisibility spell. Moonlight at the end of the tunnel. The river lit by fireflies. Dark, quiet woods. Nothingness. I've run away from this pain for too long. It's time I face the tune. Find somewhere safe and wait it out. Ryan, our plan will go well. Tomorrow, Manuel will take the bait. Silver will investigate the laboratory, and he will connect the dots. No more lies. The truths, old and new, on our side. No good built on falsehoods will last, and this nightmare will soon come to an end. But, Manuel, was that really all you were looking for all along? You fool! You can't find this in a corpse. If you felt it in yourself, you wouldn't even know it. Without love, you'll never have the eye to see. A knock on the door snaps me out of my trance. I put down the pen and go open it. Paolo walks in with a basket full of purple-ish weeds. He's heaving and his mane has a leaf or two stuck in it. Here it is. I don't know why you want this thing. You're not gonna smoke it, will you? It's better to experiment with these than the much more valuable dust viper samples. The lion nods, standing with both hands on his waist, and I kneel to inspect the loot. I must admit the Hazley being so abundant in town has turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Where am I, a herbalist, for if not to refine the essence of the ingredients I have at hand? Everything is composed of its own essence. That is true for the Dark God too. Probably. This is a bit of a leap I'm making, and if I'm wrong, I suppose nothing will come out of this experiment. But if I'm right, that's a new world of problems to bash my head against. I'm not sure what we'll find in the Dark Guard's essence or something close enough to it will even entail, or what would be the risk. Could the hospital be overwhelmed by Hazeleaf? Could I turn into a monster? Could I awaken the eye and end the world? I have no clue. And that aside, I'm worried about Ranzkai. I can't imagine he'll approve of me helping the Duke with this endeavor. If he tells me to stop, I'm planning to obey him, but I could really use this job. I had all but given up on Oblon, but perhaps with this I can turn things around, not just for me, but for the people who still live there. Maybe I'm asking for too much by hoping he'll understand or even help me mitigate the risk as I carry on with these experiments. I close my eyes, looking inward, reaching for anything that would allow me to reach a compromise, and then I hear again the guiding voice within me, that part of me that I chiseled to dance image. I finally arrive here, Hector. We finally arrive here, Hector. Did you not see it coming? That eventually you need to choose between your hometown and your demonic lover? Or did you forget he opposes a man paying you? Perhaps you ran into his arms merely because you had lost all hope, and now that you see a light at the end of the tunnel, you listen to me. Is that it? Quit it with the condescension. Do you see a way out of this or not? Not one that lets you have your cake and eat it too. If you feel like you're being cornered, know that this is a result of your contradicting desires. All you can do is the usual. The usual? Keep working. Keep pushing forward. It's what you always do, no matter how dire your surroundings. In between attempts at finding the Hazeleaf, I find time to go over Finbar's book. This morning, it occurred to me that the old symbols written here, such as a Ranzkai one, could also be runes. Comparing them with the sigil on the loincloth, I find some matches, but the book at most talks about their linguistic use, and if I'm lucky, their pronunciation. The orange hue of sunset comes through the window by the time I'm about ready to call it a day. With a sigh, I lift my eyes from the book and stare at the brewer as the mixture inside evaporates and is filtered through the tubes. At the end, all that drips into the flask are a few thick, shimmering drops. Purple like the devil's ears, checking it with the prismurium makes me think I must be on the right path. This essence looks nothing like anything I've seen before. At times its flow almost resembles that of a living being. However, these moments are brief, patterns arise and quickly become distorted, giving rise to yet more patterns that involve an internal recursion. That said, I have hoped to at least cobble together a functioning sigil by now, one to purify the Dark Guard's influence. As far as I can tell, it's the only way to guarantee my safety and prevent a potential Hazeleaf infestation. The loincloth sigil doesn't respond to the substance, but judging from its complexity, I suspect it's only meant to work in a very specific context of Ranzkai making love to me. I need something with a more general application. And this is a delicate matter. I can't just throw together some runes that look like they might work and hope for the best. 2 months is at stake. Perhaps it's best to stop the experiment for now, then. As I reach forward toward the torch, a shiver goes up my spine. For just an instant, it's like somebody's breathing down my neck. Slowly I turn around, but there's nobody there. Ranzkai? No response. However, I do hear faint clanks and a scraping sound. The strange part is that it's coming from next to me. Swallowing saliva, I look to my right and I see somebody sitting next to me at the table. A lamp next to him illuminates the source of the noise. He's engraving shapes into a smooth piece of silver. The precision with which he handles the graver is captivating. Once it grabs me, every little sound that makes Every little sound that happens as a result turns into a soothing song, making me relax my shoulders. With a blank, I look up at the man. I look at the man. His he's tall. His arms and face have a mixture of black and white fur. He reminds me of Dad, but he doesn't look quite right. The longer I stare at him, the more he looks like a wolf, not a badger. But this is Dad, right? It just feels right to call him that. What's the matter, Snowball? I blink, my eyes fixated on the silver. I recognize what he's engraving. It's one of the many runes I'd seen in Finball's book. Dad smiles, letting me take a better look. As all of a sudden, my shoulders just barely go above the edge of the table. Do you like it? What is it for? The wolf furrows his brows as he pretends to think about it. Well, by itself, it does nothing. But if we add a couple more runes, we can turn this into a circle that makes a bird song. Neat, huh? Oh, can you show me? With a sympathetic smile, he opens a drawer and produces another piece of silver from it. This one has several runes enclosed by a circle, a proper circle. He places it in front of me. Try it out. I glance into his blue eyes for an instant before I put my hand on the circle. However, the moment magic concentrates at the tip of my fingers, nothing happens. Dad gives me a gentle chuckle. Unfortunately, the circles aren't for us to use, Snowball. What do you mean? Let's say you made contact with the eye one day. What do you think would be the first thing to change? I've got no idea. I grow extra eyes in my best guess. But before I can answer, he goes on by himself as if somebody had answered for me. Indeed, it would be your hands. The eye's way to claim a living being is by first changing how they interact with the world to the most fundamental level, by changing how they can do magic. Back when Simons were around, they came up with these circles so they would be able to use magic, and in the process, they discovered many spells that weren't possible with traditional circles. Such as this one, or the one that makes you invisible. Huh? As I keep touching the circle, I realize its feeling is off. Rather than a cool silver surface, it feels like paper. I squint, concentrating with all my might onto it. Ever so slightly, images take shape behind the circle, ruining equipment, a pen, and Finball's book, which is open on the room. Dad is carving into silver. With effort, you move your hand towards the book. You grab it from the edge and drag it towards you, careful not to knock it off the desk. Isn't this fascinating, Hector? Look at how the Dark God's essence glows. It's but a few drops, but there's no doubt this is all a product of its power. But what is this? A mirage? A memory? Or a dream? Whatever it is, it appears to be related to this room. Is it part of the circle he's carving after all? Well, it is a part of the circle he's carving after all. You drag your hand across the page as if trying to discern a meaning hidden in plain sight. It's done. Despite my best attempt to hold on to my inner voice, as soon as Dad speaks, I'm dragged back to that warm evening when I watched him carve. He holds the birdsong circle, smiling with pride. The instant I take it into my small hands to look into it, I feel myself being dragged by the currents of time towards a different moment. Today, right now, Dad's looking at me with an inquisitive expression. I shake my head and rub my eyes, feeling as though I'm about ready to puke out what little remains of the breakfast are well cooked. What's happening? The sensation mercifully doesn't last long, as the weight of the past crushes it until it's no more. As if he heard my question, Dad sits on his chair, prodding his chin with the wooden end of the graver. You shouldn't think of a circle as something you can touch. Sure, you can draw it, but the drawing is just a representation of the real nature of the circle, the symbol. Everything else, the circle is defined by its essence. And like everything that has essence, small changes can accumulate with time. It's like those statues Ireland likes to sculpt. You take a log and chip away at it, and over time those tiny changes add up to give it a unique shape. The capacity essence has to retain changes is what we call memory, Snowball. These old circles, even if everyone, including us, forgets about them, they possess their own memory, a memory more reliable than ours, or even that of silver. Each line is as heavy as a century. The simple act of staring at the carved shapes crushes any thought, leaving me standing there, mouth agape, moving it like a fish out of the water. Before I realized it could no longer do that thing where I close my eyelids. I have simply forgotten how to. Then I realized I also forgot to do that thing where I used my legs to hold up my body, and soon I am holding onto the desk so as not to fall. But wait, am I not sitting down in reality? Or am I standing? Shit, which was it? And what else am I going to forget? At this rate, people, places, how to breathe, perhaps? Once again, the currents of time drag me away. The world goes dark just long enough to make me wonder if this is death, before spitting me back out into the workshop alongside Dad. I'm just a bit taller, just enough to reach his shoulders as he peruses some sort of old tome. He's in the middle of transcribing it. You have to wonder what went through the Simon's minds when they did this. I recognize that book. It's the one that was left behind by that dragon expedition, the same one Ricardo told me about when I visited Manuel's cabinet. The circle within its pages is engraved on many tall walls in the valley. Right, didn't the dragon's journal say they ran to one of those and that they had a relic they intended to use on it? This relic, what was it? If they were looking for that circle, then why would they allow themselves a way back into the valley after everything that happened? Perhaps they were worried about abandoning the valley altogether. After all, they had become part of this ecosystem, purifying the eye's essence with their magic. Or were they not ready to part with their dark god? Was the power and prosperity it offered too great to definitely seal it away? Or did fear motivate them? Did they, after foreseeing the endless violence and subjugation that would await their people in the future, leave an entryway for future generations? Everything shakes and creaks under the weight of the past and its uncertainty. I feel myself about to be pulled away by the current of time when I notice I'm holding something in my hand. Not without effort, you remember the bird song Sergio. Your hand trembles, yet you steady yourself, grab the pen, and slowly trace a circle on your journal. A little more, Hector. It's done. Now take it and put it closer to the fire. Squint your eyes. Can you see it? I see it. It only lasts a brief moment, but it's enough for me to thrust my arm forward. In that instant, the dream shadows and the singing of dozens of birds that are not there welcomes me back to reality before I can worry about if I wet my equipment or set my journal ablaze. I need to turn off the torch. I sit on my chair with my shoulders slouched and heaving deep breaths. What the hell just happened? Was that because of the eye? There isn't any other explanation, is there? This really is too dangerous. I was too naive to think the biggest danger was some hazily sprouting. I feel I barely dodged death, yet I've got no clue what it is that almost killed me. And that wolf, what was it? The circle he was drawing worked and purified the dark god's essence in the process, so that wasn't an illusion, it was real. Everything he said, the circles he showed me, those were real. I grabbed my journal, which I only barely managed to avoid burning, and mechanically draw the circles I saw during that dream. Once I'm finished, I leaned back on my chair and stared at them. I could use them to protect myself as I originally planned, but this really isn't worth it. I don't want to risk anything like this happening again. It's then that I hear a knock on the door. Paulo heard birds singing, and it was so loud he came to check if some animal had broken in. When he sees nothing out of the ordinary in the room, he shrugs and after some small talk says he's headed home. I didn't realize how late it had gotten. Time to follow his example. God knows I need to rest. I remember a Sunday morning during spring before I came to Ranzkai, before Dad took me on my first work trip with him, before I even knew the 5 layers. Aunt Nora and I went to church. She was holding my little hand tight, afraid I might run off to some distraction. That day, the priest spoke about dreams, how nature whispers through them. What makes an oracle or a prophet is not any kind of magical talent. Instead, it's only a matter of having the perception and insight to understand. But in all these dreamless nights I've had lately, it seems as though God has forsaken me. I don't know if I believe what the preacher said, but at this point, a part of me wants to, because at least it would explain where's this feeling coming from, like I can't breathe, and if all the air in one eye has been sucked out, as if life itself is coming to an end. Is this the eye's presence? God, we're not even food for it, are we? We aren't even that much. We are air. It won't even bother killing us. Where we breathe in and become the haze its dreams are made of. God help us. Wake up. Something warm and soft takes hold of me. All sounds are muffled, but his voice alone comes through with a distant ring of clarity. Even though the drowsiness, I feel the tenderness with which it envelops me, the care bordering on fear that goes into every movement. The solitude hiding truth, when the solitude hiding underneath. I turn around with a groan and return the hug. Now a heartbeat accompanies a delicate touch. It sings me a lullaby so soothing and familiar I almost fall into deep slumber. But a kiss on my forehead softer and lighter than any flower the Eye Valley has ever produced pulls me out. Slowly and with effort I open my eyes and find Ranzkai holding me. He says nothing but tightens his hug around me. Ranzkai. He nuzzles my forehead again, laying kiss after kiss between my ears. And I choose to stay there in his warmth, in the safety of his arms, in that dreamlike haze. Until wakefulness creeps in and what I had been doing earlier returns to my mind. The substance I've extracted from the haze leaf, the work for the Duke, all the awful money. He's read my mind before, but by now he should know, right? If he didn't glimpse it while I was asleep, surely he can hear me now. But that's not what I see in his eyes. I never see him needier or sweeter than this, so content with so little. Could it be that he's already found out and decided to forgive me? Can I even be so helpful? Can I even be so hopeful? Or is there something else going on? Maybe he's preoccupied with an inquisitor. Maybe the reality of what I've done hasn't hit him. Will he feel betrayed? The thought digs its claws deep within me, ready to rip me apart at any moment. And do it, Hector. You knew this was coming, right? At least try to explain yourself. Hector. I can't help but squirm under his gaze. I try to utter apologies and explanations all at once, but nothing makes it past my lips. But I'm not the only one who's tense. For the first time, I catch uncertainty in his eyes, and when he opens his mouth, he stops himself at the last moment. So we remain still, unsure of what to say to each other. Finally, he tries to smile and fails. I'm not feeling it tonight. Feeling what? He opens his mouth, as if to answer my question, but bites his tongue, all while his eyes dart back and forth, searching for something he cannot find. It is a full minute before he says anything, and every word is born as if from a great struggle. You know how your hand, your leg can go numb. You can't feel it anymore, can't move. It's like it's not even there. Dragging yourself on the floor because you can't move your other half. At the same time, everything is too much and numb. That's me with my mind. Feels like half of it locked up in. He looks lost. I've never seen anyone with such a helpless look in their eyes. I'm not used to this quiet. What do you mean? Again, he looks away, searching for something, but nothing catches his eye. He seems lost. I don't know. Please, can you please hold me? I don't know what's going on, but I nod. After another moment of silence, he leans closer, our mouths join, and despite my confusion, I close my eyes and return his affection as if it's the most natural thing. He kisses me with a tenderness too vast to have started a few weeks ago. When we met, he said he'd stand in for Kagan, but now it's as if he truly had taken those 9 years of unfulfilled affection to finally pour them into me. My mind goes blank at first, but before long, I'm taken in. I hold him by the shoulders and press our bodies together. It's nothing like the previous times. I said it in his eyes, in the bashfulness of his movements. He's not here to play, but seeking comfort, wanting to feel whole. The realization that he needs me as much as I need him makes me want him even more. His presence shoves every other thought into the back of my mind. Hector, I love you, Hector. I won't let you leave again. Yet as he says it, I'm reminded of what I've done. My work for the Duke, just as a chill runs down my spine, his hug around me tightens. He showers me with caresses and kisses. In a way, it almost feels like I should be the one doing that. But perhaps his way of being comforted is giving that comfort to others. But it's unusual. In the past, I tried to decipher hidden meanings and intentions behind the demon's actions, but this time I realized there's no mystery. Ranzkai wanted me and sought me out. That's all. It's love that feels as if he truly incarnated Kagan's unfulfilled passion from 9 years ago. Wasn't that what he promised me back when we first met? I may have overcomplicated everything in my search for answers. Oh well, I can't complain about him scratching under my chin and kissing me in the forehead and neck. Closing my eyes, I smile and let out happy noises. However, a different question burns hotter and hotter in my heart until I can't ignore it any longer. But when I try to put it into words, it escapes me. Every time I reach for it, it slips through my fingers. Is it that it keeps slipping through, or that you're too afraid to grab it, Hector? Stop thinking with your heart and use your head. It's your best part. You're unsettled because he said nothing about your recent experiments with the Duke. The demons read your mind over and over in the past. He knows things he couldn't otherwise about you and Kagan alike. He should know that you dug too deep in the dark God, even if briefly, got a hold of your mind. That now you know things you weren't meant to. Why has he not said a word about it? This is all very pertinent to him being the keeper of the valley. I dare suggest that he doesn't know what you did, so what does that mean? What is he really? Hey, you read minds, right? Yeah. He notices something is off. It's written on my face. His eyes are cautious, searching for something, and upon meeting with mine, there's a flash of realization, panic, and resignation all at once. Softly I take his shoulder and push him, or rather nudge him, really, to lie on his back as I straddle him. Are you a demon? Such a simple question, Hector. Is he really? If he really is what he says he is, the answer should be at the tip of his tongue. And what do you see? He's paralyzed, wide-eyed, sinking on your bed, looking at you like a fawn surprised by a hunter. Saying nothing as if waiting himself for an answer that will not come. Could it be? I always thought Ranzkai was more like the Kagan I knew there in the mountain of a wolf currently walking around one eye. Could it be that this was not just a coincidence? Hector, just look at him. His face is right there. He looks just like that day ages ago. He's the living image of Kagan that day. Just what are you? His eye hardens for a moment. I see spite, or is it hurt? I can't tell anymore. But it only lasts a second, just as quickly as that spark of focus came, it goes away and leaves behind a vacant gaze. Tomorrow, the nightmare will be over, and only the truth will remain. What does that even mean? I'm about to grab his necklace and shake him when his gaze drifts away again. I'm what's left of the Kagan you knew 9 years ago. And I'm a person, Hector, just like you. A silver tears through my spine. As a tornado of emotions rushes through me, I hear that mocking Candace, making fun of me as I'm dead serious. And I see him there, the old Kagan. That's what he do. So all that talk about you being thousands of years old, being woken up by the Duke approaching the valley, feeding on fear, being the devil of one eye. It was a lie. I'm not a demon, Hector. I can lie. I cannot read minds. But I am the devil of one eye. I've done exactly what my ancestors did. I protected one eye from invaders and from the valley itself. This is what being a demon of one eye has always been. And I know you, because together we spent the happiest days of our childhoods, and deep down, you're still the same. And now I'm telling the truth. I'm what's left of the Kagan you knew and loved 9 years ago. He drags that hand over his chest, and for the first time, I know he's not trying to entice me. It's his old irreverence flare again. Here I am, all grown up, with all the memories of our time together. Ranzkai's eyes remain locked with mine in silence. The entire world has gone quiet, except for the occasional rear dropping on the wolf's fur. The truth, twisted and tangled as it is, forms a noose around my neck and begins choking me. Ranzkai motions as if to reach for me, but I recoil. That's not possible. Kagan is. How can he be him when he's? How is that even possible? It doesn't make sense. His ears fold back. I wish I knew how. No, give me a real answer. What are you? And if you're the old Kagan, then what is the Kagan I've been seeing since I came here? Something changes in his gaze, so small no more than a shift in the glimmer of his eye, as sudden as a crack teetering through is a crack teetering through glass, and yet, for the first time ever, I look at Ranzkai and feel real fear. Don't you dare talk about him like that, Badger. You're lucky he can't see you like this. He slips from under me with an agility I could not expect even from him. His eyes dart back and forth, but this time he's found what he was looking for. Speaking is no longer such a struggle. He's my other self, and for the 9 years you were away, he was with me, day and night, even when Aaron couldn't. That child you knew 9 years ago, that boy wouldn't have survived without him. And my name is Ryan. I'm not a demon, but I'm a shaman. I'm a dark god's avatar in this world. I'm the closest the eye has ever made to a demon, and I have the magic to prove it. You think the valley is dangerous? You have no idea what this body is capable of. You saw what a little slip-up could do. You saw what a little slip-up could lead to back in the amphitheater. I didn't choose to be like this, but it is what I am. It is what I was meant to be. If time turned back to my childhood days, I'd end up threading the same path somehow. Even without Leo Bedino taking my parents from me, even without him and your father experimenting on me, on what became the Kagan you fell in love with, but I didn't get to keep his looks. But you still recognized me, didn't you, Badger? You remembered me. You, an outsider in this town of traitors, full of wolves who have forgotten what I am alongside their duty towards nature. That's why you accepted me. Deep down you knew it. You knew it was me beneath the mask of the devil. Ranzkai is the name I came up with the day I decided to don this ancient belt, and it's how I introduced myself to you the night of the Leaf Burning Festival. When you told Kagan that you hoped he hadn't changed after those 9 years, he said he couldn't give you what you wanted. I was there, Hector. I was always there, and Kagan told you the truth. He couldn't give you what you wanted because, even though he's my other self, we're not the same. He didn't want to be with you because the hurt from the 9 years was too great, but I did. And I begged and cried. I cried, pulled his ear, and told him to please. You wanted me back, Hector. Something in me is this close to breaking. This is all insane, but in a twisted way, it makes sense. It explains how Ranzkai Ryan knew so much about me and why this alleged demon was working against his dark god. But if this is true, then Kaga knew about us from the start. We both see what the other sees. He knew he's my other self. We are not the same, but we are one. Then let me talk to him. I can't, not now. Why, is everything you're saying is true? Then you should be able to show it to me. Prove it's not some mind game. I can't, Hector. Something happened tonight. It was too much. It was tearing me apart. I was about to lose it if we had to get out. He took the pain from me and he locked up instead. I can't reach him tonight. The last thing he told me was to find someplace safe and wait for it to end. I don't understand. He steps forward to hold me by the shoulders, to caress my cheek. His words come out almost as if he is choking. And in that moment, I'm truly staring at the old Kaga. I've been doing so all along. Since the night he came to offer me that deal, I just couldn't comprehend it. I know you don't, alright? It feels like your entire world just turned upside down, doesn't it? But I really meant it all. I really meant all I told you the night we made the deal. I do love you, and you do have a home here, with us. Then his breathing stabilizes as if an invisible hand has let go of his throat. If only one thing I said is the truth, then it was that. Please don't doubt it. I don't want to doubt that, but I shake my head. All I can do is cry out of sadness for the lies we've been telling each other, the frustration of missing what's been in front of me all along, and rage at what nonsense my life has turned into. Wine reaches out to me again, but I stop him just a centimeter short of his face. Stop, He lowers his ears again, waiting for my next words with bated breath. There was so much I wanted to ask, so much I wanted to say and ask, but the moment I look into that pleading gaze, all of it fades away. I need a moment to sort out my thoughts, please. He looks away, his lip trembling ever so slightly. I see. Then I'll let you be for now. I nod, and the wolf slips from under me and out of the bed. I just stare at the blankets as he gathers his belongings. He walks up to the door, stops, and then his gaze falls upon me one last time. By the time I look up, nobody's there anymore. Okay, so we're gonna stop right here. Okay, how we get a little confusing. How we get out here? Alright, so I've been playing this game since it first came out, and still this setup, it still confuses me, how to get to the main menu how to get to the main menu screen. Yeah, it's not the same as like WinP, because the majority of the games I play on here uses WinP. This isn't. I don't think this is WinP. This doesn't operate the same as WinP. But anyway, we'll play the rest of the update next time. So that's a huge revelation we just got from Ranzkai, that he's not actually a demon, that he's actually a person just like Kagan, and that what he said about him being around for thousands of years was a lie. So he is an actual person, but I mean, how come we didn't see him during the time Kagan and Hector were kids? That's one thing that confuses me, but maybe we'll find more later in this update. We'll come back to the update later. Maybe we'll continue, or maybe in the next arc that we're about to get into, we'll find out more about that. But anyway, I believe that this Ranzkai, Hawaiian, he is basically the Kagan that Hector fell in love with. He's a Kagan that he knew when they were kids, because he has basically the same demeanor as what Kagan had when he was a kid. This snarky, a little mean streak. This mean streak and confident kind of kid, doing pranks and stuff like that, and all that stuff. That's kind of like the aura that Ryan has, and the reason why it was so easy for him to pretend to be Kagan to Hector is because that was him. He was not pretending to be something he wasn't. He was actually pretending he was actually be himself when they were I think having sex or something, but basically Hector, when they're having sex the first time, I think Hector wanted Ranzkai to insult him like Kargan did. He missed Kargan not insulting him and, just being kind of like a jerk. So Ryan decided to act like that. But he wasn't acting like that, trying to pretend to be Kargan, because that was actually him the whole time. So, in the Kargan that Hector has been dealing with since he came back to the village as an adult is the other side of Kargan. So basically, Ryan and Kargan are like two sides of the same coin. So, yeah, so, and apparently, Kargan, something happened, I guess, because, when they went and they saw Alistar like that with his legs cut off and with his legs amputated, and they were doing some shady stuff behind the scenes, with Leopoldino or Manuelino or whatever his name is, the Duke. Yeah, that he was and somebody else with him. They were mutilating the bodies of wolves and all that. So that was a huge revelation, and it upset Kargan so much. Wait a minute. Well, Ryan. It actually upset Ryan so much that. Wait a minute. Is it Ryan or Kargan? Basically, one of them, I forgot, but one of them, they got upset so much that the other decided to absorb the other one's pain and distraught. So I think it was Kargan. I have to go back and see, but I believe Kargan got so distraught over what he saw. Well, no, it was Ryan. It was Ryan. Okay, it was Ryan, and he got so distraught over what he saw, what he saw of Alistar, that Wolf, that I think got into it with that fight with the other wolf, that smaller wolf, I guess. I got his name. I think Fergus. Yeah. Yeah, Alistar, he was kind of like a asshole and kind of like a bully, but he didn't deserve it. So, Ryan was so distraught and disturbed over what became of Alistar that Kargan decided to take in all of Ryan's pain and distraught and all the emotions that Ryan had, so Ryan could be able to at least function ahead. Because they were still focusing on enacting their plan. So Kargan took all of Ryan's emotions from that scene, and that might have something to do with Kargan not appealing. Him not showing up when Hector asked if he could see. When Hector asked Ryan if he could see Kargan. But anyway, yeah. So this is a big update already. I decided to do this into two separate videos instead of one long video, like the last update, where we learned about Ryan. Where we learned about Silverf. Because that one was well over an hour and a half. I could have just split that into two videos instead of one long video, but I had no idea how long it was. But I wasn't paying attention to the part where it said they had 18,000 words. This update here, I believe, has 15,000, so it shouldn't be quite as long as the last video, maybe like an hour and a half. The whole update once I put these two videos together. So I'll continue with the rest of this new update next time. So thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.